Welcome to the deep dive. Looks like somebody's been exploring the world of ancient mysteries and lost civilizations.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, some Graham Hancock, maybe?
Sounds about right.
We're diving into this conversation he had with Chris Williamson on Williamson's YouTube channel.
Okay.
There's a lot to unpack,
There is.
but I think it's going to be a really interesting journey.
I think so, too.
Yes, sir.
Hancock's ideas,
Yeah,
they're definitely thought-provoking.
they are.
He really kind of pushes the boundaries of conventional thinking, when it comes to archaeology and human history.
Yeah.
So I think this deep dive will be a good opportunity to unpack some of his main points
Okay.
and explore what evidence he has to support some of those often controversial claims.
Right off the bat,
Yeah.
Hancock takes aim at the Clovis first model,
Uh-huh.
for those who aren't familiar.
Yeah.
That's the long-held belief that humans first arrived in the Americas around 13,000 years ago.
Right.
But Hancock presents evidence that suggests a much earlier presence.
Exactly. He brings up the Cerutti Mastodon site in San Diego,
Okay.
where researchers found mastodon bones that appear to have been deliberately broken with tools to extract marrow. And these bones date back 130,000 years.
Wow.
So if accurate, that completely upends the traditional timeline
Yeah.
of human migration to the Americas.
That's a huge difference, 130,000 years versus 13,000 years.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what else we might have gotten wrong
It's
about early human migration.
Uh-huh.
What I find particularly interesting is Hancock's argument that early humans were much more skilled seafarers than we give them credit for.
Right.
He doesn't think humans only migrated across continents via land bridges.
No, he uses examples like Australia and Cyprus,
Okay.
both of which were settled during the Ice Age.
Yeah.
And to reach these places would require navigating, significant stretches of open water,
Right.
indicating a level of maritime sophistication that we haven't traditionally attributed to early humans.
Yeah, and this, he argues, challenges the theory that humans only reach South America by traveling south through North America.
Exactly.
So how does he explain humans reaching South America if not by land?
Well,
Does he think they just, sailed around the tip of South America?
he actually suggests a more direct route.
Okay.
He points to older archaeological sites in South America
Uh-huh.
that predate those in North America,
Okay.
and cites specific DNA links between Amazonian tribes and indigenous peoples of Melanesia and Australia.
Wow.
These findings, he claims, point towards a trans-Pacific migration route,
Okay.
meaning humans would have crossed the Pacific Ocean to reach South America.
Wow, a Pacific crossing.
Yeah,
That's a bold claim.
it is.
What kind of boats would they have even used to make a trip like that?
That is one of the questions that his critics bring up.
Yeah.
Hancock doesn't really delve into the specifics of the vessels these early seafarers might have used.
Yeah.
And admittedly, finding evidence of such ancient boats
Oh, yeah.
would be incredibly difficult.
For sure.
But his point is that we shouldn't underestimate the ingenuity and capabilities of early humans,
Right.
especially when confronted with evidence that challenges our existing assumptions.
Okay, so we've got a potential human presence in the Americas far earlier than previously thought,
Right.
and the possibility of early humans crossing the Pacific.
Uh-huh.
What else does Hancock propose that shakes up our understanding of history?
Well, his ideas about the Amazon rainforest are particularly intriguing.
Okay.
He suggests that the Amazon, as we know it,
Yeah.
might not be entirely a natural phenomenon.
Okay.
He argues that it's actually a man-made environment shaped by human activity over thousands of years.
Wait, so he's saying the entire Amazon rainforest is basically a giant garden cultivated by humans.
Essentially, yeah.
How does he support that?
He points to a few things.
Okay.
Firstly, there's an overrepresentation of specific tree species
Uh-huh.
known to be beneficial to humans,
Uh-huh.
suggesting intentional planting and cultivation.
Right.
Secondly, and perhaps even more compelling, is the discovery of elaborate geometrical earthworks hidden beneath the rainforest canopy.
Wow.
These were revealed using LiDAR technology,
Okay.
which allowed researchers to see through the dense vegetation.
So these earthworks,
Yeah.
what do they tell us?
Well,
Were they used for agriculture or something?
Hancock believes they showcase a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and geometry.
Wow.
He also believes they point to a deeper spiritual connection with the rainforest, held by indigenous people, perhaps even hinting at the existence of a much older, more advanced society
Right.
than we currently acknowledge.
Yeah.
It is worth noting that the indigenous peoples who live in the Amazon today,
Yeah.
still view these earthworks as sacred spaces.
Okay.
Their oral traditions speak of a long and rich history connected to these sites, stretching back thousands of years.
Okay, so now we're talking about potentially rewriting not just the timeline of human presence, but also our understanding of the Amazon rainforest itself. It really is amazing to think about what other secrets might be hidden beneath the surface just waiting to be discovered.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it?
It does.
Especially when we consider the potential implications of Hancock's ideas.
Yeah.
If we've been so wrong about the timeline of human arrival in the Americas
Right.
and underestimated the capabilities of early humans, what else might we have missed?
Yeah.
What other chapters in human history are waiting to be unearthed?
Speaking of unearthing new chapters, Hancock dives into the world of ayahuasca.
Yes.
A powerful psychedelic brew used in Amazonian shamanic traditions. It's fascinating how he weaves together seemingly disparate threads, like ancient plant knowledge, altered states of consciousness, and the possibility of accessing lost wisdom.
He goes into great detail about the preparation process.
Okay.
Highlighting the intricate knowledge of botany.
Right.
And potentially years of experimentation that would have been required to discover it and its effects.
Yeah.
It speaks to the deep understanding of the natural world held by these indigenous cultures.
Right. It's not just about the psychedelic experience itself.
No.
He sees it as a potential key to unlocking a different way of understanding the world, a way of knowing that might have been more prevalent in ancient cultures.
Exactly.
So it's more than just tripping out in the jungle.
It is. He argues that ayahuasca plays a significant role as a tool for spiritual exploration and understanding.
Okay.
He suggests that it might have played a crucial role in shaping the culture and knowledge of Amazonian societies.
Right.
Potentially even contributing to their deep understanding of the rainforest ecosystem.
Okay.
And the interconnectedness of all things.
Remember those earthworks we talked about?
Yeah.
He suggests that ayahuasca might have played a role in how those were designed.
Possibly.
And the knowledge they encode. That's a pretty mind-blowing idea that ayahuasca could be a bridge to a lost way of understanding the world, a way of knowing that maybe modern science is only now starting to catch up with.
It's certainly a provocative idea, and it ties into Hancock's broader argument that ancient civilizations, particularly those in the Americas, might have possessed knowledge and wisdom that we've lost touch with.
Okay.
Knowledge that could be relevant to solving the problems we face today.
Okay. We've got potentially much older human presence in the Americas. Skilled seafaring ancestors. A man-made Amazon.
Right.
And ancient wisdom accessible through ayahuasca. It sounds like Hancock is painting a picture of a very different human story.
He is.
Than the one we're usually told.
Definitely.
Where does he go from there?
Well, this is where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
He introduces the Younger Dryas event, a period of sudden and dramatic climate change.
Okay.
That occurred around 12,800 years ago. And had a catastrophic impact on the planet.
I've heard about that. Wasn't that the period when mammoths and other megafauna went extinct?
It was.
What does this have to do with ancient mysteries and lost civilizations?
This is where Hancock really starts to connect the dots on a global scale. He supports the controversial Younger Dryas impact hypothesis.
Okay.
Which proposes that the Earth was struck by fragments of a disintegrating comet around that time.
Hold on, a comet impact? That's like something out of a disaster movie.
It is pretty dramatic.
Right. But there's growing evidence to support this theory.
There is.
From nanodiamonds and platinum found in sediment layers dating back to the Younger Dryas period to the widespread occurrence of massive wildfires around the same time.
Exactly.
And Hancock thinks this comet impact is connected to his theories about a lost civilization.
He does.
Okay.
He proposes that this cataclysm, which would cause widespread devastation, floods, fires, and a sudden plunge in global temperatures, might have wiped out a technologically advanced civilization that existed before the Younger Dryas events. He even suggests that the memory of this event is preserved in the flood myths found in cultures all over the world.
Okay, now that is a wild theory.
It is.
So he's saying a comet wiped out an advanced civilization, and the survivors passed down the story through myths and legends.
Right.
I mean, it's a compelling narrative.
It is.
But is there any actual evidence to support it?
That's what we'll be exploring further in this deep dive.
Okay.
Hancock uses a blend of geological evidence, archaeological discoveries, and analysis of ancient myths and traditions to build his case.
Okay.
Whether or not you find his arguments convincing, he certainly presents a lot of food for thought.
He definitely does. This is shaping up to be one of our most intriguing deep dives yet. Let's take a quick pause and we'll be right back to explore more of Hancock's fascinating and often controversial ideas.
Welcome back.
All right, so...
Before we move on,
Yeah.
I think it's important to address some of the criticisms Hancock has faced.
Okay.
You know, his theories have been met with skepticism,
Right.
even outright dismissal from some in the scientific community.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's such resistance to his ideas?
That's a good question. I think it's partly because he challenges those long-held beliefs.
About human history
Yeah.
and prehistory.
Uh-huh.
He's essentially saying, hey, what if we've got it all wrong?
Yeah.
You know?
It can be pretty unsettling, especially for those who've built their careers on those established narratives.
That's a really good point. It's hard to let go of ideas that are so deeply ingrained.
Yes.
You know, especially when those ideas have shaped our understanding of who we are and where we came from.
Exactly. Challenging the Clovis first model, for example, isn't just about shifting a date on a timeline.
Right.
It's about reconsidering our entire understanding of human migration and the peopling of the Americas.
Yeah, and then there's the whole issue of how he incorporates evidence from mythology and indigenous knowledge systems.
Right.
That's not something you typically see in mainstream archaeology.
Wow.
It seems like that's a major point of contention.
Absolutely. He's been criticized for relying on what some perceive as fringe sources, like oral traditions and ancient myths.
However, Hancock argues that these sources, often dismissed as mere folklore, can provide valuable insights into the past.
Okay.
He sees them as repositories of ancient knowledge that have been passed down through generations.
So it's like he's saying we shouldn't dismiss ancient wisdom.
Right.
Just because it doesn't fit neatly into our modern scientific framework.
Exactly.
It seems like he's pushing for a more holistic approach to understanding the past.
He's advocating for a more inclusive approach to archaeology and history.
Okay.
One that takes into account a wider range of perspectives and sources of information.
Right.
This approach, he believes, could lead to a more complete and nuanced understanding of our past.
So instead of just focusing on the material remains of the past, he's also interested in exploring the stories, beliefs, and experiences of those who lived in those times.
And he sees those stories and beliefs as potentially holding clues to a forgotten past. A past where humans might have had a different relationship with the natural world.
Right.
And a different understanding of their place in the cosmos.
So how does this relate to his ideas about the Younger Dryas impact?
Well,
and a lost civilization? Is he suggesting that these myths and traditions contain actual memories of that cataclysm?
He is definitely suggesting that he points to the prevalence of flood myths in cultures all over the world.
Yeah.
Many of these myths share common elements, such as a great deluge that destroys a civilization.
Okay.
A wise individual who is warned of the coming catastrophe.
Right.
And the survival of a select few who repopulate the world.
Okay.
He sees these commonalities as more than just coincidence, arguing that they might point to a shared memory of a real event, such as a comet impact.
He also brings up the idea of processional numbers encoded in ancient sites like Stonehenge and Serpent Mound. Can you explain what those are and how they play into his theories?
So precession refers to the gradual wobble of the Earth's axis, a cycle that takes approximately 25,920 years to complete.
Okay.
This wobble affects our view of the stars, causing them to shift their positions in the sky over very long periods of time.
So like a spinning top.
Yes.
It spins, but also wobbles a bit.
That's a good analogy.
Okay.
And just like with the spinning top, that wobble eventually causes the top to point in a different direction.
Right.
For the Earth, this means that the North Star, the star axis, currently points towards changes over time.
So how does this relate to ancient monuments?
Well,
is he suggesting they were built to track this wobble?
Exactly. Hancock argues that some ancient civilizations were aware of this precession and its effects. He points to the precise alignments of certain structures, like Stonehenge, which seem to correspond to specific points in the precessional cycle.
So they weren't just building these structures randomly. They were designed with a specific purpose in mind to align with celestial events influenced by the Earth's wobble.
That's what he's proposing.
Okay.
And he goes a step further, suggesting that certain numbers encoded in the dimensions and layout of these sites, numbers that relate to the precessional cycle, might represent a deliberate attempt to preserve and transmit knowledge of this cosmic cycle.
So he's saying these sites were like giant astronomical clocks or calendars.
In a way, yes.
Okay, that's fascinating.
It is.
But how does he link this knowledge to a lost civilization?
He argues that the level of sophistication required to understand and track the precessional cycle points to a level of astronomical knowledge that we wouldn't expect to find in the cultures traditionally credited with building these structures.
So he's saying the people who built Stonehenge, for example, might have inherited that knowledge from a more advanced civilization that predated them.
That's the thread he's following. He sees these astronomical alignments and the use of precessional numbers as evidence of a shared knowledge system, one that might have originated from a civilization that possessed a much deeper understanding of the cosmos than we currently give them credit for. And he suggests that this civilization might have been the one wiped out by the Younger Dryas impact.
It's starting to feel like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
It is.
You've got pieces from archaeology, geology, mythology, and even astronomy. And Hancock is trying to fit them all together.
He is.
To reveal a hidden picture of the past.
It's a compelling image, isn't it?
It is.
A lost civilization wiped out by a cataclysm, leaving behind fragments of its knowledge scattered across the globe, waiting for us to piece them back together.
It's really interesting.
Whether or not you buy into his theories, Hancock certainly encourages us to rethink what we think we know about the past.
Let's dive into another piece of this puzzle, Easter Island. It's famous for those giant statues, the Moai. What's Hancock's take on Easter Island?
He sees it as another potential piece of evidence for a lost civilization. He challenges the traditional timeline of the island's settlement, suggesting that humans were present there much earlier than previously thought.
And what evidence does he use to support that claim?
He points to the discovery of banana phytoliths, dating back 3,000 years on Easter Island. Phytoliths are microscopic silica structures found in plants. They're incredibly durable and can survive for thousands of years, making them a valuable tool for archaeological dating.
So finding banana phytoliths means that bananas, or at least something carrying them, were there 3,000 years ago? Why is that significant?
Well, bananas aren't native to Easter Island. They originated in Southeast Asia. So finding evidence of them on Easter Island so long ago challenges the accepted narrative of human migration and the timing of human arrival on the island.
I see. So it's similar to the challenge he makes to the Clovis first model in the Americas.
It is.
He's essentially pushing back the timeline based on new evidence.
Exactly.
What's the connection to the lost civilization theory?
Hancock points to the oral traditions of Easter Island, which speak of a flooded homeland called Hiva. He suggests that this might be a memory of a cataclysmic event, perhaps even the Younger Dryas impact, and that the ancestors of the Easter Islanders might have been refugees from that event.
Interesting.
He even speculates that the Moai statues themselves might hold clues to this lost civilization.
I've always found those Moai statues fascinating. They have this enigmatic quality to them, like they're trying to tell us something. They do. Does he offer any interpretation of what they might represent?
He suggests that they might be representations of ancestors, guardians, or even repositories of knowledge from that lost civilization.
It's amazing to think about how much history and meaning might be embedded in those statues, just waiting to be deciphered.
It is.
It's a reminder that there's still so much we don't know about the past. So many mysteries yet to be solved.
Hancock's work definitely emphasizes that point.
It does.
He's constantly challenging us to question our assumptions and to be open to alternative explanations. He reminds us that the search for truth is an ongoing process. And that we might never have all the answers.
I think that's one of the things that makes his work so appealing to so many people. It's not about having all the answers. It's about the thrill of the chase. The excitement of exploring the unknown. And considering possibilities that lie outside the mainstream.
And it's about recognizing that our history as a species might be far more complex, more mysterious, and more wondrous than we've been led to believe.
Hancock's journey through these ancient mysteries certainly leaves us with a lot to ponder. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to explore some more of his fascinating and often controversial ideas. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already, from ancient migration routes to the mysteries of the Amazon rainforest and Easter Island.
We have.
But there's one more piece I want to touch on before we wrap up.
Okay.
Hancock's experiences with ayahuasca.
Right.
It seems like a pretty radical way to investigate the past.
Well, you know, Hancock's exploration of ayahuasca,
Yeah.
it goes beyond just the psychedelic experience itself.
Right.
He sees it as a potential key to unlocking a different way of understanding the world.
Okay.
A way of knowing that might have been more prevalent in ancient cultures.
He talks about ayahuasca giving him insights into the nature of consciousness,
Yeah.
the interconnectedness of all things.
Uh-huh.
So how do these personal experiences tie into his theories about lost civilizations?
He suggests that ayahuasca and other psychedelics used in shamanic traditions could have been tools for accessing deeper levels of knowledge and understanding. He postulates that these ancient cultures might have used them to connect with the natural world,
Right.
to gain insights into the cosmos,
Okay.
and perhaps even to tap into a collective consciousness that transcended individual minds.
So he's suggesting that ayahuasca could have been a source of ancient wisdom,
Yeah.
a way of transmitting knowledge that went beyond written or spoken language.
Exactly. It's a fascinating idea.
It is.
And it aligns with his belief that ancient civilizations might have possessed knowledge and wisdom
Right.
that we've lost touch with.
He even suggests that the intricate geometric patterns found in the Amazonian earthworks, which we talked about earlier, might have been inspired by visions experienced during ayahuasca ceremonies.
It's possible.
That's a pretty bold claim.
It is.
Is there any evidence to support that connection?
It's hard to say for certain.
Yeah.
The connection between ayahuasca and those earthworks is largely speculative.
Oh.
However, there is a growing body of research exploring the potential of psychedelics to enhance creativity,
Right.
problem solving,
Yeah.
and even spiritual insight.
Okay.
So while it might be difficult to prove a direct link,
Right.
the idea that ayahuasca could have played a role in shaping ancient knowledge systems
Yeah.
is at the very least an intriguing possibility.
It's certainly a reminder that there are many ways of knowing, many paths to understanding the world.
Right.
Modern science might not have all the answers,
Uh-huh.
and ancient traditions might hold insights that we're only now beginning to appreciate.
That's true.
So this brings us back to the central theme of this deep dive.
Okay.
The importance of questioning the status quo,
Yeah.
of being open to alternative perspectives, and of acknowledging that there might be more to our history and our reality than we currently understand.
Hancock's theories, whether you agree with them or not,
Right.
have a way of shaking things up. They challenge us to reconsider our assumptions, to expand our horizons, and to embark on our own journeys of discovery.
His work is a reminder that the past is never truly settled,
It's not.
that new discoveries can always rewrite the narrative,
They can.
and that the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong adventure.
It is.
It's about the thrill of the unknown,
Yeah,
the possibility that we might be wrong about some of our most fundamental beliefs,
it's true.
and the potential for uncovering a deeper truth that connects us to something larger than ourselves.
Hancock encourages us to be active participants in that process of unraveling.
Yeah,
He reminds us that history is not just something that happened in the past.
right.
It's a living story that we continue to shape with our curiosity, our questions, and our willingness to see the world with fresh eyes.
Exactly. This dive into Hancock's work has been a wild ride. It really makes you wonder what secrets are still hidden in the depths of time,
It does.
and what we might discover if we challenge the limits of what we think we know. One thing's for sure, this definitely gives you some food for thought.